landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of his, skill set.
If it happens, Bud Crawford, oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
Power ain't going to be able to sustain throughout the fight. Watch.
Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back when he warned Canelo Alvarez about the risks of fighting Terence Crawford. Speaking live, he reminded viewers that even though Crawford normally competes at 147 pounds, he has often sparred with larger fighters and handled them with ease. Sharpe stressed that moving up in weight makes Crawford even more threatening. His warning to Canelo was direct. Underestimate Crawford, and it could turn into a costly error.
Great fighters, they're not going to give me my due because I'm going to have 3 or 4 losses. And that's what's happening. Guys won't fight anybody that the fans want to see or a fighter that's deserving. You're absolutely right. David Benavidez deserved to fight Canelo, but Canelo doesn't want to fight him because he knows there's a greater chance of him losing versus Benavidez versus Bigger Charlo. And so that's what, now, am I going to go see if it happens, Bud Crawford? Oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
Daniel Jacobs carefully studies the skills of both boxers before giving his view. He points out that Canelo Alvarez carries power and experience, but Terence Crawford brings a wide set of abilities that make him tricky and dangerous. Jacobs highlights how Crawford's flexibility lets him switch styles mid-bout, leaving rivals confused and unable to use their strengths. Combined with sharp reflexes and high ring IQ, this could create major problems for Canelo. Jacobs stresses that though Canelo has shown toughness against big hitters like Gennady Golovkin, dealing with Crawford's speed, accuracy, and clever tactics will be a totally different test. Because of this, Jacobs puts his faith in Crawford, believing his skills give him the advantage.
For instance, when he fought the guy that he lost to just recently.
Bivol.
Yeah. Shout out to Bivol. He wasn't really able to find that niche there, but in spurts, you can see him adapting, right? And so the biggest difference between Bivol and Crawford is the size difference in the power. Even though Bivol was an ultimate boxer, he still was able to keep him off him with the sheer power and strength. But with Crawford, I think that it'll be challenging for Canelo to get around the skill set, but it wouldn't be challenging for him to be able to endure the pain. And so that's what Canelo would, because the mindset too is, if you can't hurt me, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep coming forward. So if Canelo could adapt that mindset, take the shots, because he's going to be throwing, and if you look at the stats too, in terms of punch output, in terms of landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I would lean more towards Crawford simply of his, skill set.
Is this the biggest fight for his legacy? If obviously he wins, I think
Crawford.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be the biggest win.
Sure.
But given the fact that a lot of people, I think, expect Canelo to win because of the weight, where do you rank this in comparison to that huge fight with Errol Spence?
So if Canelo wins, it would be one of his most top tier wins, but it would also be expected. So I don't know if it would take the umph off of it, rather the other way around, because of the size difference and what all Canelo has been accomplishing for the last however many years,
Oladipo explains that Crawford has a rare quality that sets him apart from most fighters: the ability to cause damage without relying only on raw power. He believes Crawford's timing and accuracy let him land punches opponents never see coming, making them more harmful than expected. For Oladipo, this is exactly why he favors Crawford against Canelo. He argues that Alvarez, though tough, can be outsmarted by boxers who remain calm and avoid reckless trading. Crawford shines here, always patient until chances appear. To Oladipo, this blend of sharp thinking and effective punching is why he has long viewed Crawford as the likely winner.
He needs to put that pressure on himself. He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now, for him, he wants to go for like Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. Yeah. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. Yeah. We can't answer for him. Yeah. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. Yeah. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well. Yeah. That he might do really well in there. So look, regardless,
you fought them both. Like what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's weight.
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit. Very easily. Yeah. Compared to when I fought against Crawford. Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. Yeah. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. Yeah. Because and you could see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo? Prove anything?
Canelo would say payday, but Crawford wants to be 3-time undisputed, and if he does that, oh my goodness!
Wow, I mean that'll be unreal. But look, if he believes in himself, yes, go for it. Yeah. But don't do it if he's got second thoughts. If he's got second thoughts, don't do it. If he has to be 100% confident, and listen, I'll even go and help him for that if I have to. Oh, yeah? You know what I mean? Because look, I love Crawford. I think he's a lovely guy. Because I got to know him when I trained with him away from the boxing ring, away from boxing. And the guy's he's a diamond, you know what I mean? So if I can help him in any way, I'd love to do that. But look, but if I was him, just enjoy. Yeah. Enjoy what you've got now, and don't take no risks.
I think you just got to watch the Bivol blueprint, the in and out. I mean, a lot of fighters getting stick now for being runners, Tom and Jerry and whatnot. But stick to what you're good at.
Boots Ennis praises Crawford's smart approach in the ring, noting that every punch he throws has purpose. Unlike fighters who waste energy with pointless shots, Crawford picks his moments with precision. Ennis stresses that this discipline shows Crawford's high fight IQ, helping him land with accuracy and impact. By saving energy and attacking at the right time, Crawford stops opponents from finding chances to counter. This also makes him very dangerous in long battles, as he keeps stamina while wearing rivals down. Ennis believes this control and sharpness will be crucial against Canelo, where even small details matter against such a seasoned champion.
Terence, though, people don't understand. He can box and he's smart.
Yes.
He don't waste no punches, man.
He don't waste no punches.
And he really smart, man, when it comes to that boxing game. But it was me and I'm training him. Yeah. I would have him frustrating Canelo. What I would do with him, I would hit him with some good shots, combination shots, because you know, Canelo got to be set to throw punches.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? If what you call Crawford boxing move, you don't like nobody to boxing move. And that's what I think Crawford is going to do. And then
Diego Pacheco gives a fair breakdown by recognizing both fighters' paths to victory. He explains that Crawford, with his skill in defense, is more likely to collect points over 12 rounds instead of knocking out someone as durable as Canelo. At the same time, Pacheco points to Canelo's body power, which always gives him a real chance to end the fight with one clean shot. In his view, this contrast defines the clash. Crawford's control of distance and combinations against Canelo's heavy hands and pressure. The result, Pacheco believes, depends on who can force their pace on the fight.
What are your thoughts on that Canelo versus Crawford fight? How do you see that fight going, and what's your prediction?
That's a very, very good fight. You know, two great fighters. I grew up admiring them my whole life, you know, so I'm excited for that fight. I think Crawford is a hell of a fighter. You know, if it goes the distance, he might be able to get that decision win. But I think if there's a knockout, then it might be Canelo who's getting the knockout win. But I'm ready to watch the fight. You know, I'm going to be a big fan that night, and just be rooting for both guys. You know, they're both great fighters.
Eddie Oladipo looks back at Canelo's career, noting that while the Mexican star is still elite, he is no longer the unstoppable figure he once seemed. He recalls the 2018 rematch with Golovkin as the peak version of Alvarez, when skill, strength, and confidence all came together. But Oladipo reminds that this was 7 years ago, and since then, Canelo's performances, though still solid, have shown small signs of decline. He suggests sparring young fighters like Jaron Boots Ennis may be Canelo's way of chasing the sharpness time has taken away. This raises the question of whether today's Canelo can really deal with Crawford, who is performing at his very best. Oladipo doubts that experience alone can replace fading athletic peak.
But he fought a very, very good Canelo. I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, I mean, second Golovkin fight, I thought he was fucking incredible. That was, when was that? Jeez, that feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years. That's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September. So it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite, Edgar Berlanga, no, Munguia, no, Jamel, no, John Ryder, no, a third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull. Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something.
Regis Progress strongly disagrees with the belief that Crawford's power will hurt Canelo. He argues that Alvarez has already absorbed shots from naturally bigger punchers, including hard-hitting champions, without showing weakness. Progress highlights Canelo's reputation for having one of the toughest chins in boxing, making him very hard to damage. Still, he doesn't rule Crawford out. He admits Crawford's brain, movement, and adjustments give him a chance to outbox Canelo. But Progress insists that power alone won't be enough. Crawford must rely on skills and strategy to beat such a physically strong opponent.
You know, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You got to look at it. And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, De Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, you know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that, but I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, you know. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about great. This might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really. But this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo and Crawford going up against him. So the only thing they have, but I would say the only thing he has going for him is he's a skillful fighter, and Canelo is older.
Crawford's trainer stresses how much conditioning matters in this fight. He explains that if Canelo slows or tires as the rounds go on, Crawford will take advantage with his faster speed. Crawford is known for finishing fights strong, often raising intensity when rivals fade. His quickness helps him land clear counters and slip return shots, punishing any drop in energy. The trainer adds that against Crawford, losing even a little sharpness can cost dearly. This puts pressure on Canelo to keep up a steady pace the whole fight.
Watch. And he usually slows down between 6 and 7. When you slow down, that's a fucking wrap.
That's what you've been seeing in these last couple fights from him?
I mean, yeah. Fuck yeah. I seen him slow down going into the later rounds, and I done seen his ass get outboxed.
Brian McIntyre, and I will say this openly, is one of the best trainers in boxing. He absolutely knows his job, and I know he knows his job better than I know his job. So take my observation with a grain of salt. However, sometimes I get these things right, and I think that Brian McIntyre is making a miscalculation. Now, what do I mean? He basically said that one of the biggest advantages that Terence Crawford has over Canelo Alvarez is that Canelo Alvarez slows down, and that he says that after round 6, round 7, that Canelo Alvarez usually starts slowing down, and if he slows down against Terence Crawford, that is going to be a very, very huge mistake, and Terence Crawford is going to be able to take advantage of that. All right. First and foremost, let me say this. If it was the case that Terence Crawford was fighting Canelo Alvarez at 147 pounds, or even at 154 pounds, and Canelo Alvarez started slowing down, that definitely could be very, very big trouble against a guy like Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is an incredible counterpuncher. And if you show him...
Teddy Atlas gives one of the strongest votes of confidence for Crawford. He calls Crawford a complete fighter with the focus, versatility, and mental toughness to beat anyone, even moving up in weight. Atlas argues that Canelo is not the hungry warrior he once was, saying years of success have softened his edge. He even goes as far as calling Canelo overrated compared to Crawford, pointing to recent fights as proof of decline.
Get mad again, or you could agree again. It's up to you, whatever. But he's made so much money that the urgency's not there. The fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that it just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters, you can make the argument that he lost the first Triple G.
Jose Vargas Jr., who has sparred with Crawford, offers an inside view. He praises Crawford's sharpness and accuracy, but doubts his punches carry enough weight to hurt someone as solid as Canelo. Vargas points out that Alvarez has already survived big power from larger men like Golovkin and Kovalev. Still, Vargas admits boxing is not only about strength. He notes Crawford's timing, rhythm, and ability to disrupt opponents make him dangerous. While Vargas doesn't believe Crawford's punches alone will back off Canelo, he does believe Crawford has the skills to make it close and possibly win on points.
But Crawford, what work is left? What else is going to be done in camp?
All we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68. Big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So he's a veteran, and he's doing veteran tactics in there where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro.